What's up, guys, gals? This is Griever back here, bringing you guys Ayakashi Triangle, Chapter 18, Sosuke Hinojiki the Jinyo. So, this chapter, I guess Toriko's back in serialization. I didn't realize that. I didn't know the Neo Demon was back. You know, black gourmet cells and all that fun jazz. I wasn't aware of that. But Sosuke Hinojiki is a Toriko character. He's the reincarnation of the Neo Demon. In so many ways. Once you make that connection, go back, read the chapter. If you know what I'm talking about from Toriko, go back, read this chapter. Tell me it's not Neo Demon. A more humane, less horror villain, Neo Demon, but nonetheless like a PG-13 version of Michael Myers, you know, sort of idea, to use a Halloween sort of thing, because we're getting close. So, yeah, we'll talk about that here once we get to that part. I'm going to do just a quick jump through of the chapter because there was a few key points I wanted to go off of. So, because we get new lore, and I didn't want to miss anything, right? So, apparently around 400 years ago, or it didn't say exactly what time, it's that the Shirogane is about 400 years old, is what I took away from this. Shirogane was already, at the time, the king of the Ayakashi, and he runs in to this Sosuke, this Jinyo, and this Jinyo is a new type of Ayakashi that's been killing and devouring Ayakashi, and so, you know, he plays the game, and he's got the mouth, he's like the mouth of Sauron sort of idea going on here. He's all blacked out and stuff, humanoid in nature, and that's what he says. I'm a Jinyo, the Ayakashi closest to humans. You know, and he's got a humanoid form and sort of stuff. Once again, very reminded of Toriko Neo Demon. So he shows up. He says, you know, are you displeased, King of the Ayakashi? And he says, and Shirogane, looking like a badass in his old form, looking like a goddamn beast, the monster, says, Ayakashi do not devour other Ayakashi. Your existence goes against the principle of an Ayakashi. That's not our job. So he says it's a king's duty to protect the order of the Ayakashi. So Shirogane does not like this dude at all. They're actually enemies, and they come to blows. It looks like a fierce battle. This is where Shirogane says, I was able to inflict damage on it, but I was also injured severely, so I also had to retreat. So he couldn't finish this thing off. He managed to damage it, but they were pretty much equally matched by the sounds of it. And Soga is here, you know, jumping around with Matsuri and Shirogane. We're back to the present, and says, he's that strong, because he knows how powerful Shirogane is. He's the king of the Ayakashi. By default, the king is the strongest, right? The king of the Ayakashi is there because he's the king. So he said, I've never even heard of an Ayakashi called a Jinyo. And Shirogane goes on to explain, he devours Haku to grow. If he devours the Haku of Suzu and Ayakashi medium, he'll be untouchable. So that's how he got so powerful. That's how he was a match for Shirogane. It was the first time he'd seen one in my 400 years of existence, and he caught me off guard. This implies Shirogane should be, in his full form, should still be able to take this dude down at full power. Now that he's aware of how dangerous this Jinyo type of Ayakashi is. He wasn't aware of his abilities, wasn't aware of how strong he was. Now he understands him more. You know, he went into that fight blind. So I'm good with that, because I want Shirogane, like, full form. Like, later on in this series, he's going to eventually go back to full form for a moment, and he is going to wreck because someone's going to get injured, someone's going to get hurt, someone's about to be killed. Shirogane's going to do the right thing. He's going to unlock the scroll or something, or do something. He's going to go back to full form power, and he's going to devastate whatever creature thinks he's top dog. So, but yeah, so he basically says that's that sort of thing. He eats and feeds off of that sort of energy, and eventually he continues to grow, unlike everybody else. So Shirogane uses this sort of as a desperate attempt, but I also think he's actually worried about Suzu and stuff. And he says, before that happens, you need to return me to my true form, Matsuri. And tells Matsuri, look, you need to, and Matsuri doesn't say anything. He says, don't ignore me. This is our only option sort of idea. Like, you need to do this. I need to be at full power if we're going to fight this thing. You guys can't fight this thing. I can't fight this thing. I need my real power back to kill this thing. And so Matsuri says, it's a trap sort of idea, but I'm still going to go anyways. And he ignores that option of release in true form. And I hope they don't do that yet. I want to wait after this arc. I want to wait like for chapter like 100 to be the big reveal where Shirogane gets his form back. So I'm hoping this goes on for a good, 200-300 chapter sort of series. Because so far it's been a lot of fun and I've enjoyed it. So I don't want this to be like a 90 chapter one and done series. I want this thing to go a good 200 chapters, right? So, so anyways, Suzu, we jump over to Suzu and Sosuke, not Sasuke, but Sosuke. And I mean, he could, I guess, be considered sort of a Sasuke character. He's kind of emo, eyes always black, I'm moody, I got into the drugs and the booze. My daddy didn't love me. I'm a pretty boy. And girls love me, but I'm too cool. He's got that sort of attitude around him. Pretty much, there's a little bit of comedy here, but suffice to say, Sosuke goes on to basically talk about like time and how time affects things and stuff, and how he is an Ayakashi built off of negative emotions. So these negative emotions allow him to, not be happy in a place like the school setting. He said the school building had a lot of positive feedback, a lot of positive thoughts, and as a negative-based Ayakashi, it was a little too much for him, sort of idea. So he says, I'm quite human-like. Like, it seems like he desires to be human. I'm getting a bit of an envy vibe from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I'm getting a bit of a vibe of the envy sort of character from that. A little bit here. Like, he's so obsessed, because already, like, 2 or 3 times, he's already said, I'm Jinyo. You can call me Sosuke. It's quite a human-like name, isn't it? I identify as when I became into this form, I'm the closest to becoming like a human. I'm an Ayakashi that's a human, that sort of idea. Though, I mean, Garaku could give you a run, which, by the way, where is Garaku? But Garaku could give you a run for your money, too. I mean, he's full human form. To be granted, this one is based off of negative emotions. He's an icon based, he's just evolved. Whereas the other one is, I forget the type, but it's the one, the possession of an item. And the obsession over an item, because he was a paintbrush of a famous painter. So, either way, so Suzu continues to talk to him about like how he became to be. He said he was just a simple icon, but he started feeding off of the lower level ones, and one day he realized the taste of Haku can change, and said hurting them, devouring them. Alright, so here's where we pause. Those of you who have not read Toriko, what are you doing? Go read Toriko. If you love manga, you need to read Toriko. People keep bitch moaning, complaining at me to read Attack on Titan. I did. Still think Toriko's better. People said the same thing, Hunter x Hunter. I did. Toriko is better. Assassination Classroom, though really, really good, Toriko is better. Toriko was one of the members of the Big Three. Unfortunately, we used that Western concept of the Big Three, and Naruto just happened to have the spot. But Toriko was right up there alongside those three. Toriko was incredible. That's enough about Toriko. Point is that this character here, without spoiling, is a character called very similar, and it has the exact same mentality. This verbatim, you could take this out. They even use the term gourmet dining, which is a big thing. Gourmet is a term from Toriko. Screw the cooking world in real life. Toriko, I swear to God, invented that word, because everything is gourmet in that damn manga. So, you could literally take this entire page. What page is this? Page 9. Page 8 or 9, I'm not sure. You could take this entire speech where he's all up in the air and like, my search for gourmet dining created of fear and despair in others. You could literally take this and attach it to a villain in Toriko called Neo. And you could attach this entire dialogue, no changes. Seriously. Like, I don't think you would need to change a single thing. One word, Haku. You need to change one word in this whole page. And you could literally slap this into a Toriko page and it would make total sense. Nobody would question it. That is how, and I'm not begrudging this. I'm not going, oh, you stole the idea. So I'm sure that idea has been used before, but I'm getting some Toriko feedback, and all of a sudden this guy who I was like, okay, not really caring about him, at the end of the last chapter 17, I was just kind of like, okay, he's a creep, he's kind of weird, not sure I'm into the whole pretty boy who's actually evil thing. I've had that trope. But this dude, being a goddamn Toriko villain from the start of the chapter and up until this page, I'm on board. This guy is going to be fun. Maybe nostalgia alone, maybe just because I miss Toriko, but God damn it, guys. This is awesome because he hurts them. He goes, I need their flavor. I needed a taste. And I found out that by hurting them and devouring their friends in front of them, instead of giving them a quick tech, toying with them as they attempt to escape, it changes the deliciousness. Fear and screams. Screams is what I need. That sort of, like the mentality that he wants them absolutely terrified. They taste better when they're terrified. And I mean, as I said, Toriko Villain 101. This is not original, but I don't give a shit because I love it. And he basically says this is when he realized the joy that it brought him to terrorize and then devour. And that's when he continued to evolve, and he became a Jinyo, the first of his kind by the sounds of it, according to Shirogane. Though Shirogane's only been alive for 400 years by the sounds of it, still in the last 400 years, it's the first that the king of the Ayakashi has heard of such a creature. So Suzu calls him out on his shit and basically says, you, of all people, you'll be the ultimate ingredient, of course, but you're standing fast, you're talking smack to me, pretty much because you're hoping that Matsuri is going to come and save you, right? And he's like, no, I'm going to bring you his head on a pike, because I've got an entire group of Ayakashi surrounding this entire old hotel building that I've entrapped us in. They're called the Ayo. The Ayo are the evolved form from icons. So we have icons that become Ayo, and then by the sounds of it, either he warp digivolved from icon to Jinyo, or you go icon, Ayo, Jinyo, sort of like, once again, Pokemon or Digimon, you evolve into higher stages. So potentially this creature did become, this Sosuke Hinojiki did become an Ayo at one point, and then became a Jinyo. But we don't really have any real indication of that yet. We're not 100% sure. It says that he just kept devouring and then he became a Jinyo. So maybe he warped digivolved, as I said. I have no idea. But according to him, Jinyo is the highest form that an icon can take. So all the Ayos, and I assume the icons, have to obey him. They obey his command by, sort of like king status or something, mind control. I don't know. Anyways, so pretty much we jump over from that. So he just rambling on about his evil plot to make the ultimate ingredient. So very Toriko. And then we have Soga, Matsuri, and Shirogane and all them and Po all being surrounded by all these new Ayo creatures, and they said that, damn, they don't have enough time to deal with all this. Apparently, Nina Kuru or Soga, he actually has an idea. He's like, there's a new jutsu I want to try out anyway. You just get in my way. Let me handle all these bad boys, I'll deal with them. You go on ahead. So that's what he does. Matsuri says, X is ninja tool, the sash of the wind god, which is kind of cool. Like, I like how it flares up, and it's just like it's supposed to be a sash, but it turns into this like hoop thing, and it reminds me of the animated 90s Spider-Man, when every time he'd be like, hope this works, hey, parachute of spiderweb, it worked, and he does it like 3 different episodes. He's like, experiment time, hope this works, but it always works. So it's like, you did that like 4 episodes ago, dude, it works. Anyways, but it's kind of a new technique. It's pretty cool. He does say that Ryo did add it into his ninja gear or whatever, so he wasn't clearly able to do that before. And now he's able to fly up to the top floor where Suzu is running and, trying to attack her and just like torment her to make the flavor better. And that's when Matsuri jumps in and boom! Socks! Right in the face. And it's just like, I'm going to open up a wind hole in your stomach, Jinyo. And I'm like, all right. Like, see, it's hard for me to call her like a super badass female of Viz right now because she's not really female, she's male, and right now, the gender bender like genre and community, it must be difficult right now to talk about those things, because gender bender existed, long before as a genre was a thing for a long time before, I guess, the pride parades and the LGBT was formed, as a community and stuff. And I'm not trying to get too political here, guys, but I always feel weird. I always feel like I'm going to say something that people are going to be like, well, what did you mean by that? What did you mean by that? I'm always kind of skeptic about talking when Matsuri is a dude trapped in a woman's body, but it is against his will. He's not and that some people can make the argument for it. See, it's a whole thing, and I don't like getting into it. But point is that I just wanted to say that Matsuri right here, super badass, right? Sock in the face. Suzu's like, Matsuri's here, and he's like, I'm gonna open up a wind hole in your stomach, Jinyo. And I was gonna say, what a badass female character. But do you consider her a badass female character, or do you consider Matsuri a guy? It's, I don't know. It's just a badass move, I guess. We'll leave the gender part out of it. But it's always nice, because I just did the Yona review, the Akatsuki no Yona review, and, she's back in full form. Princess Yona is back in full form, being a super badass. I even compared her to, like Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor in Terminator 2. She is a badass. And I'm like, all right, this is awesome. So I'm sort of on that hype train right now, but I'm just like, don't want to step on anybody's toes or feel like anybody gets triggered or insulted or offended. So I'm just going to stop talking. But point is, this was a super badass move, regardless of anything. And I was like, all right, evil eyes are coming out, socked in the face, and basically went, I'm just going to kill you. And this is the last panel of the chapter, says the special seasoning I need has arrived. So, once again, super Toriko villain here, Toriko-esque. I like it, I really do. Once again, it's not super original in any way, shape, or form, because I've already read about this character, and it was done perfectly the first time, but I really did still like to see this back. This is definitely an interesting take. I like how it's getting a little darker. We're getting a little more drama and horror elements added into the series. And once again, it's just building up the world. It's building up the cast of characters. It's building up the lore a lot. Every chapter seems to add a new little tidbit. Even if it seems to be just a one-off chapter, it's adding a new character, or it's adding some new lore, or it's adding a setup for bigger things coming down the line. So I'm always really stoked about that. But yeah, guys, that was the chapter. Sorry it was a little longer, a bit of a review. Like, comment, and subscribe as always. It's always very much appreciated. This has been Griever, and don't forget to drink responsibly as always. As I, of course, I always do. So thanks, guys, for watching. We'll see you next time.